Welcome back to MilduraWeekly.com.au. This is Talk of the Town, and today we're catching up with new Forest Fire Management Victoria Mallee District Manager Philip Strachan. Phil, thanks so much for coming in for a chat.
Not a problem. Nice to meet you.
Firstly, congratulations on the appointment for the role. I know you've had a few weeks in the chair so far to get adjusted and work alongside outgoing manager Phil Murdoch. How's the first few weeks been on the job?
It's been busy. I've been away a bit. I've had to spend a bit of time in Melbourne. I've had to spend a bit of time in Bendigo, which is our head office. But I must say, having Phil with me for the last 2 weeks, or up until Monday this week, was fantastic. I haven't come across people doing that before, and it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I can imagine just having access to his knowledge and experience and being able to just, I guess, guide you into the start of your new career down here.
Guys like Phil have forgotten more than a lot of us know. So it was absolutely excellent. So he's a good bloke too. Really enjoyed his company.
Yeah,
so,
fantastic. For those who have probably heard of FFM Vic, to use its acronym, and what you guys do, are you just able to briefly, I guess, lay out your roles and duties, responsibilities in this new management role?
Well, obviously there's a huge fire management role there. That is the main part of the job. It's probably 70% of the job, and at the end of the day it's preparation for, response to and recovery from fires. And Victorian government seems to roll out a 365-day-a-week model regarding response. So it's very much around that. For example, there's not a huge amount of fires this time of year, as you would expect. So there's a lot of planning and for the burns that are coming up, planning for response. And we also do the forestry side of the business as well, which, although not quite as big as the fire side of it, is a very important side of it. For example, there's this new program that the government's come up with called Victoria's Great Outdoors, where they're looking at funding a lot of the forests, and we've got a number around here. So we're sinking a fair bit of effort into those as well. So two sides of the business.
Tell our viewers a little bit about your background, where you've come from, and I guess what's led you into this next venture of your career and life.
Okay, the last 19 years I've actually been working for South Australian Government at the moment they're Environment and Water, but there's, like every government, they change their name quite frequently. So I was actually the district manager over there for the last 7 years. But over there it was Parks and Wildlife and NRM. Now, fire is a part of Parks and Wildlife. It's different. Here, fire is an entity of its own, which I get. It's a lot bigger in Victoria. So that was my role. Before that, I was District Ranger for a number of years, similar to a setup they have here. So my background is mostly Parks and Wildlife and Natural Resource Management, and before that in some different roles in the Flinders Ranges and Northern Territory, Queensland, mostly around similar stuff.
You've touched on the fact of how big and our area is, especially some of our parks and stuff that will fall under your jurisdiction to look after, especially when our fire season kicks back off later this year. Do you have any particular short and long term goals, I guess, that you'd like to achieve over the journey?
Probably there's a couple. There's personal ones and business ones. I think I'm looking at the forestry setup here in Victoria and thinking it's actually a bit of an untapped resource. It's huge. And just the way they run their forestry reserves over here with the public access in relation to some of the hunting stuff, I actually reckon it's one of the best models I've ever seen. So I think, I don't think it's that well known. I could be wrong. I'm only been here 4 weeks. So I think I have an objective to maybe this could be some work around some of that accessibility and stuff like that, but that'll take me a little while to get to know. I've got a really good forestry manager in my team, a guy called Scott, and I think from a personal perspective, I mean, it's quite clear in South Australia that Victoria is the lead fire management agency from government in Australia. I mean, that's how we look at it, and I think I will be quite clear in saying you're probably 5 years ahead of where we were. So I've got a little bit of catching up to do. Don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of fire experience, but I've got a lot of staff who probably have more specialist knowledge. So we're actually reasonably well resourced here. Once again, I've got to thank Phil Murdoch for that. There's some pretty good staff here. So I think the next 6 months will be very much getting up to speed with some specialist knowledge, which I think will be very quick to get. In South Australia, we're more generalist. Over here, they're a more specialist.
You mentioned a couple of the projects that are on the go. Are there any in particular that you're looking forward to being involved with? You touched on some of that forestry stuff as being a little bit ahead of its time, but anything else in particular that excites you?
Oh, look, I think it's an interesting model here with this department, with the community work they do, which doesn't seem to sit totally with the Forest Fire Management Group. So there's obviously a lot of community involvement with the CFA and stuff like that. So I think personally, I actually like to get strongly involved in the community, in the Riverland community. I'm actually still on a couple of committees. I very much like, now that I'm morphing into Mildura life, to get on some sort of committees, or even if it's in my own time. For example, over there I sat on a tourism and recreation committee with council. I would love to get some sort of role with that over here, but in years to come. So I think there is an agenda to perhaps try and get a little bit more community involvement in the team that I work in. But once again, understanding that fire management and response to is the highest priority.
So Winter must be a great time to come onto a role like this, as you said, in terms of, yes, our fire season's in a bit of a lull. I mean, there's obviously always risk, but do you think it suits you better to come into a role now in the middle of winter rather than being thrown in the middle of fire season?
Yes, I do. It's actually been an easier landing than I expected. A lot of my staff are actually on leave because they've had a huge fire season.
Yeah.
Some of these guys have been to 5 campaign fires, and some of them are tight. So, and even it's actually quite interesting because this weekend they're working at an expo, and a couple of weekends they're working at a corroboree, and I'm actually starting to think, well, these guys have got a lot on, and a lot of weekend expectations, but it has definitely been what I would call an easier landing than I expected. And it's given me the time to do my reading, to work out with my fire management stuff that will transfer from South Australia, the courses I need to do a couple, I get that. So it's actually, I must admit, I'm a little bit burnt out from the amount of reading I've done, but I have to. It's government, you need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So I get it. So,
Phil, congratulations again on the appointment. Looking forward to catching up once fire season kicks off again, and we can start getting some messages out to our viewers around what to expect and what to watch out for. So thank you so much for coming in, and good luck for the role.
Thank you, appreciate it. Cheers.
Be sure to tune back into MilduraWeekly.com.au for more videos.